Wow, we're live, dude.
We are live. I love it.
Yeah, we'll give everybody a little time to catch up with us on the stream here. So a couple things, Kyle, that
Yes.
that are coming up. So normally when I record a podcast, I don't do it live. So I'm conscious not to talk about milestones, dates, and other things, but today is like a pretty big day, from what I can tell.
It depends on who is a part of that day. But
Yeah. So if I was like a real strong producer, I would have some good music, little Beatles,
That's
say
right.
it's your birthday type of song. So happy
That's
birthday,
right.
dude.
Thank you. 41 years on this earth.
I remember when
Pretty-
I was 41.
It's also, fun fact, it's the 60th anniversary of the JFK assassination.
I saw that this morning. Yeah.
So we share that day.
Wow. That's a interesting day to share for sure for you.
But guys, don't worry. That's not what we're here to talk about today.
We are not here to talk about Kyle's birthday, but we will, before we get off the subject, we will ask people to comment. If you only could eat at one restaurant, what's the question? Tee up the question.
Yeah, if you could only eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life, which restaurant would it be? And I'm going to tell you right now, there's only one right answer. So whatever you guys think the right answer is, you are wrong unless you know what the answer. But where would you eat if you could only eat in one place for the rest of your life?
Put it in the comments.
Fun question.
Put it in the comments. We'll come back to that a little bit later. How's that?
I like it.
Cool. Well, hey, Kyle, why are we here? We are here to soft launch a new podcast, Mortgages and More, Building Relationships Beyond the Transaction. Kyle and I are partnering to deliver this exciting podcast. And first of all, Kyle, thanks for jumping in on this one.
Yes, thanks for asking me. And Brian, what I'm most excited about is everywhere I go and meet new people or the big people that I follow, all of them say that the game changed for me as I leveled up who I know. Right? That's what everybody says. And yet, I just don't hear a ton of people really diving in. That's not a word. I'm getting older and now all of a sudden I don't even know how to use English anymore. I don't see a lot of people diving in to truly leveraging relationships, going deep with people. And so I'm just so excited to bring unbelievable guests on with us and pick their brain about what that looks like.
So for the audience, what we're working on together is really part of a package. And this podcast is one leg on this three-legged stool that probably will end up being like a seven-legged stool over time. But
yeah,
the first three legs of the stool are this podcast where, as Kyle said, we're gonna bring on industry experts. Most of those experts are going to be kind of in and around the housing finance industry, and not just people that are in the trenches originating loans, but people that are all around the industry, from tech partners to content creators to loan originators as well. And what we've asked these guests to talk about on this podcast for all of you is to share their expertise on what we say is what does it take, or what will it take to serve the next generation home buyer, right? So, for me, it's what does the next generation loan originator need to look like in order to best serve that next generation home buyer? And so this podcast will really be talking about that on each episode.
And Brian, to me, what's interesting when you talk about the next generation home buyer, I really think all the work we're going to put in to be top of mind to them is going to also keep us top of mind to everybody else.
Right.
Because my grandparents, they're 87 and 88 years old. And my grandpa still goes to YouTube to try to figure out how to fix his sink.
Yeah.
And so we think that like, oh, we got to go get techie for all these young people. But everybody else is learning and they're growing and they're leveraging it. And so I know like in the book that's about to happen, like somebody's going to write about reverse mortgages because there's a whole slew of people that know how to use the internet that are at that age where a reverse mortgage matters. And yet I don't ever come across content about a reverse mortgage.
Right.
So I think it's going to be the tide that raises all ships.
Love that.
Which is going to be really cool.
So Kyle, you just talked about the second leg in the stool, the book, right? Hook 'em.
That's right.
Hook 'em for those UT fans
Boo.
out there.
Boo.
So hey, before we hit record, I referenced your hat, America's Team. So for everybody that's watching this and listening to this, America's Team is not Jim Harbaugh's college football team, just so you know. Let's get that on the record.
Dallas Cowboys.
So the book, you and I are also collaborating on a book. It's the second book in the Rethink series, right?
That's right.
So for those that aren't aware, Kyle authored the Rethink Everything You Know About Social Media. And part of your vision was to have this be the first in a series of.
Yep.
And I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, I pinged you on a Saturday morning and said, what do you think about Rethink Everything You Know About the Role of a Loan Originator? That's the working title. We're going to come up with something a little bit splashier, but the focus of this book is very similar and very complementary to this podcast, where I think we're up to 25 or 26 expert contributors who are each going to pen a section of the book sharing their insights, their expertise on what it means to them to be the next generation mortgage advisor.
I believe it's going to become the mortgage Bible. I don't need all my religious friends to like get all up in arms about me using that phrase, but I really believe that it will become the book that can sit on the desk of anybody in this industry and probably even in other industries. And at any moment be able to flip to any page and find immediate value from the page. Right. That's truly what I believe. And so what I'm excited about, Brian, is like, I didn't write a book to make it about me. I'm a team guy. I was never the best at any of the sports that I played. And so I had to rely heavily on the guys around me. And that's what I'm most excited about for this book, is that this isn't a book where you and I were like, we're so brilliant. We have so many great ideas. People need to listen to us more. We just happen to be connectors, be friends with connectors. And we looked up and we're like, we have the best of the best available to us. And so let's let everybody speak their uniqueness into the industry through their eyeballs, through their experiences. And I'm just already giddy with excitement at what the finished product is going to look like. And then for those of you that haven't read my first book, it's got a lot of drawings in it and QR codes. It's written very simply and very practical. And if you want to go buy a book that's really, really smart and will speak over your head, like Barnes & Noble and Amazon's got tons of those. But we're being intentional about telling our authors, like, guys, write this in your voice through your experience. We're not trying to wow anybody. We're not trying to impress anybody. We're not going to have a copywriter come in and make all of us sound 10 times smarter than we are in real life. This is going to be the raw and real, what a loan officer needs to know to be successful moving forward. And I can't thank you enough for having the idea.
Well, you you've inspired a lot of people with your first book, and certainly myself included. And I'm super stoked about this. I'm not a reader. I normally read through my ear pods.
Yeah.
I can read, by the way. You can test me, but your book literally sits in front of me every day, and I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't open it up for just some reminder. Oh, what did Kyle say about this? And so, as you said, this is our vision, our mission with what we're collaborating on is to help that loan officer, that loan originator who's committed. And I say this carefully. The book's not for everybody.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable as an originator with your current business, with your current business model, and comfortable when someone raises their hand and says, "I'm ready to apply," and they come to you, then this book's not for you.
Yeah.
If you really want to rethink how you source business, how you create relationships, how you have more conversations, this book's for you. And we're excited. I'm super excited to work together on this. And we're not going to leak any of the contributors yet. That'll come in the coming weeks as we get things rolling. But we got the real deal here with the cast that's signed on. It's going to be amazing.
I'm already thinking about who's going to play me when this adaptation becomes a movie.
Right. Right.
So I'm already trying to figure that out.
Interesting. I haven't thought of that'll be my my thoughts for the weekend. So I think you and I talked about maybe just spending 10 minutes or so kind of talking about this. We've now gone over that. So before we close out this pre-launch episode of the podcast, folks, I'll put in the comments a link to our YouTube podcast page. You can subscribe. We're planning on releasing the first official episode sometime after the first of the year. We'll be recording a few episodes here before year end. Kyle, you want to hold us accountable and tell the folks when we're targeting the book to be published?
Yes. So I'll give you a little bit of extra detail, because now that I've written a book, people are always asking me, how do I write a book? Because you absolutely should. So we're having everybody will have their chapter done by the end of December. And then my team through one of my companies is going to assemble the book, create the drawings, load in the QR codes. And then February 1st is our go for launch date on Amazon, available nationwide. And so this is going to be a pretty quick thing. But when you're depending on 20 something people to help write it, we can accomplish a lot more than you or I could by ourselves. And so February 1st, you will be able to put an order in. We may even figure out how to do some pre-sale before that.
Yeah.
I should have done that with my book. I wish I would have done it. And so maybe we can be smarter than I was and do it with this one. But you'll have 11 months of the year for this book to make an impact in your 2024. And man, I'm pumped.
And we're going to get a head start, frankly, with the podcast, because we'll start sharing episodes and interviews with the contributors right after the first of the year. So you'll get a full 12 months of content and support.
That's right.
And the third leg, which we won't spend a lot of time on, is we're going to distribute a weekly newsletter that will have a tip a week coming out of the content from the book.
Yep.
So you'll have this 52-week, accompaniment to the podcast and the book, just to continue to help reinforce the ideas that we'll be sharing in the book itself. Kyle, I appreciate you, man.
Dude.
Happy 41st birthday.
Thank you.
Where are you going to lunch, by the way? Where's lunch?
We're not going to lunch because my favorite breakfast place is called Ham and Eggs here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And their pancakes are
bigger than your head,
as a sewage plate. And the omelet I ate was about the size of a piece of paper. The biscuit is literally like this. And so when you go there, you just assume that you're going to fast for the rest of the day because I have enough sustenance in me at this
All
point.
right. So you are going to a restaurant because we need to close this by sharing.
That's right.
What is the right answer to the question? If you could only eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life, what would it be?
The only correct answer, guys, to this question is the Cheesecake Factory, because it has a 20-page menu with every type of food imaginable. So though most of you would never pick the Cheesecake Factory to eat at on a normal day, that should be the one you choose if that's the only one you get to have forever. And so now you know, and I'm about to go pick up some cheesecake from there to celebrate my birthday tonight.
Well, again, happy birthday. I'm excited to partner with you. We're excited
sir.
for all of you. We look forward to sharing all this great content on this podcast and in the upcoming book. Look for our podcast. It'll be on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You'll be able to access Mortgages and More, developing relationships beyond the transaction. That's the name of the podcast. So,
Love
Kyle, thanks, buddy. Looking
Yes,
forward
sir.
to it.
Bye, guys.
See y'all.